In the stillness of dawn, as the first rays of sunlight streamed through the blinds of his modest apartment, Special Agent Alex Morgan knelt at his makeshift prayer corner. This ritual had been his anchor for the past decade, a beacon of hope in a life that often danced on the edge of darkness. Before him lay his well-worn Bible, open to Proverbs 3:6, the wooden cross gifted by his beloved grandmother, catching the light, casting intricate shadows on the wall. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths, he whispered, his voice steady, but heavy with the gravity of the mission ahead. Alex closed his eyes, feeling the weight of his service weapon snug against his hip, the false identification crammed into his jacket pocket, and the carefully crafted backstory swirling in his mind. Heavenly Father, I'm about to enter the lion's den, and I need your wisdom more than ever. I know that bringing down Maximilian Chavez is part of your justice, but I fear the deception I must wear like a second skin. Guard my heart, Father. Help me remain true to who I am in you. He paused, the air thick with the scent of fresh coffee and the lingering chill of the morning. Prayers poured from his lips, a heartfelt plea for guidance as he prepared to confront one of the most dangerous crime families on the East Coast. Lord, help me gather the evidence needed to stop the destruction wrought by Chavez's empire. But more than that, God, help me bring justice to those who have suffered in silence. As he opened his eyes, the morning light bathed him in warmth, and for a moment, hope flickered like a candle in his heart. At 34, Alex had spent years building an undercover identity as a military security specialist with a shadowy past, an ideal candidate for someone like the Max. Yet beneath the facade lay a man torn between duty and integrity. His phone buzzed, breaking the weighty silence. A text from his FBI handler appeared. Meeting confirmed, 2 p.m., Chavez Industries. Praying for you, brother. Remember Proverbs 3:6. A small smile crept across his lips. He found solace in the shared faith with Agent Sarah Chen, who understood the spiritual battles that come with service in the shadows. Hours later, he stood outside the shiny facade of Chavez Industries, adjusting his tie, his heart racing like a drum in his chest. He had studied Maximilian Chavez, a silver-haired tyrant with a penchant for cruelty. But what intrigued him more was Portia Chavez, a woman of light and compassion, seemingly untainted by her father's darkness. As he was ushered into the sleek office, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. Maximilian Chavez, impeccably dressed, exuded an air of authority that was as oppressive as it was impressive. But before their meeting could fully commence, the door flew open and in burst Portia, arms laden with papers, her dark hair cascading in messy waves around her face. Papa, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the Children's Hospital needs an answer about the new wing donation, and she froze, her cheeks turning a crimson hue as she caught sight of Alex. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you were in a meeting. Alex felt his breath hitch, her beauty breathtaking, but not the only captivating aspect about her. There was a light in her warm brown eyes, an inherent goodness that radiated from her very being, casting an ethereal glow in the room. Everything about her screamed innocence, a quality he was sworn to protect. Mija, Maximilian said with paternal affection, come meet Alex Morgan. He's going to be your new bodyguard. My what? Portia exclaimed, her disbelief clear. Papa, we talked about this. I don't need— After what happened last week, yes, you do, her father interrupted, his tone leaving no room for argument. Someone tried to hurt you. I won't take that risk again. Alex observed the tender yet complicated dynamic between them, noting a love that felt genuine amid the shadows of their reality. Monsters, he thought, weren't supposed to exhibit warmth. Mr. Morgan, Portia turned to him, trying to mask her uncertainty with a polite smile. I'm sure you're very qualified, but I really don't think— Actually, Alex found his voice, surprising even himself with its gentleness. I'd like to hear your concerns. This arrangement should work for both of us. She blinked, taken aback. Clearly she wasn't accustomed to being consulted on her own security. "Well," she began, her initial hesitation melting away, "I run 3 different charities. I'm in and out of homeless shelters, community centers, hospitals. I need someone who understands that I can't live in a bubble. My work matters too much." Impressed, Alex felt a flicker of admiration. "What kind of charity work?" Her eyes sparkled as she spoke with fervor, detailing the meals provided for homeless families, emergency housing for women escaping violence, and scholarships for underprivileged kids. "It's God's work, really. I feel called to serve those who need hope." Her mention of God struck Alex with an unexpected force, complicating the mission he had sworn to fulfill. "Then we'll make it work," he said, his resolve solidifying. "I'll protect you while you protect others." Portia's radiant smile lit up the room, the warmth of her spirit enveloping him like a comforting embrace. "Really? You'd be okay with soup kitchens and shelter visits?" "I'd be honored," he replied, his heart heavy with the weight of the deception yet to come, yet somehow feeling more alive than he had in years. As he silently prayed for forgiveness, he understood that within the shadows of truth, a beautiful complication had begun to unfold. Chapter 3. Walking in Shadows. 2 weeks into his assignment, Alex found himself ensnared in a web of emotions far more complex than the mission he was tasked with. It wasn't the FBI he feared, nor the shadowy figure of Maximilian Chavez that haunted his thoughts, but his own heart, a traitor leading him into uncharted territory. Protecting Portia should have been the straightforward objective of his assignment, yet it had morphed into the most daunting challenge he had ever faced. Every morning, the soft, melodic sound of Portia's prayers filled the air as she began her day. Alex stood vigil outside her apartment, ears attuned to the delicate whispers of her gratitude to a higher power. Her voice dripped with sincerity and purpose, thanking God for each new day and the opportunity to serve those in need. At dusk, she concluded her day by reading scripture aloud, sometimes the comforting Psalms, other times the powerful Gospels, her voice radiating warmth and unwavering faith. One afternoon, as they exited the children's hospital, where she had spent hours bringing smiles to young cancer patients, Portia turned to him with curiosity. "You know, I keep waiting for you to tell me this job is too boring for you." Alex, his heart racing as he attempted to maintain focus on the parking lot for potential threats, managed a smile. "Why would I do that?" "Because most men my father hires are more interested in excitement, violence. You seem different." "If only you knew how different," he thought, stifling the turmoil within. "Maybe I've had enough excitement for one lifetime." "Were you military?" Portia inquired as they reached his car. He nodded, adhering to the cover story crafted for him. "Army. 2 tours overseas." Her brow furrowed in empathy. "That must have been hard, being away from family, seeing things." Her voice trailed off, and then she met his gaze directly. "Do you have faith, Alex? I mean, do you believe in God?" The question struck him like a physical blow, leaving him breathless. He could easily lie, as his training dictated. Yet looking into her honest, trusting eyes, he felt compelled to reveal his truth. "Yes," he answered quietly, the admission gnawing at his conscience. "I do. My faith is complicated right now, but yes, I believe Jesus Christ is my Savior." Portia's face brightened with the first light of dawn. "Really? Oh, Alex, that's wonderful. I was praying you were a believer." "It makes everything so much easier, doesn't it? Knowing we're both trying to follow Christ." As her words enveloped him, Alex felt himself sinking beneath the weight of his own deception. "Portia, I know," she laughed, apparently misinterpreting his inner turmoil. "I come on too strong about faith sometimes. My father says I'm too trusting, too naive about the world. But I think that's what faith is supposed to do. Make us see the good in people, give them the benefit of the doubt." That night, Alex found himself kneeling in the dim light of his apartment, wrestling with both God and his own conscience. "Lord, I'm falling in love with her," he confessed to the darkness that surrounded him. And every day I lie to her about who I am. How can I claim to follow you while living this deception? But if I don't complete this mission, how many more people will Chavez hurt? Show me the way, God, please. Yet the heavens remained silent, and Alex retired to bed with his heart heavy, burdened by guilt and longing. Chapter 4. Hearts Entwined. 3 months into his assignment, Alex had successfully planted surveillance devices within Chavez's fortified lair, inching closer to gathering the evidence that would finally put the crime boss behind bars. He should have felt a sense of victory, but instead, he was enveloped in despair. Portia's presence had woven itself into the fabric of his daily life. She included him in every aspect, inviting him to church on Sundays where they sat side by side, absorbing Pastor Rodriguez's teachings on truth, integrity, and the sanctity of honest relationships. Portia valued his opinions on her charity work, sought his advice on managing difficult donors, and confided personal details that deepened their bond. "You know what I love most about you?" she asked one evening. The crisp autumn air wrapping around them as they perched on a bench outside the women's shelter, where she had just served dinner to 43 women and children. Alex's heart raced. "What? You really listen," she said, her eyes glimmering with sincerity. "Most men my father introduces me to are just waiting for their turn to talk. But you actually hear what I'm saying. You ask follow-up questions. You remember things. It makes me feel valued, seen." The weight of her words bore down on him, as if he were being pulled in 2 directions. "Portia, I know this is complicated," she interjected, her cheeks flushed in the soft lamplight. "Your job, my father, the situation we're in. But Alex, I'm falling in love with you." Her admission hung in the air, a sacred promise and a heartfelt confession. Alex was captivated by her beauty and the purity of her affection, and he felt the walls he had fortified around his heart begin to crumble. "I'm falling in love with you too," he admitted, his voice thick with emotion. "More than I should, more than is smart or safe or—" "Hey," she said gently, her fingers brushing against his cheek. "Love is never safe. That's what makes it brave." Before reason could intervene, he leaned into her touch, their lips meeting softly at first, then deepening as passion ignited between them. When they finally broke apart, both were gasping for breath. "Portia," Alex murmured against her forehead, "there are things about me you don't know, things that might change how you feel about." "Are you married?" she asked, cutting him off. "No." "Do you love me?" "Yes." "God help me, yes. And the rest we can figure out together," she replied simply. "That's what faith is for, right? Trusting that God can work out the details when we're following his lead." He pulled her closer, inhaling the sweet scent of her hair, silently pleading with God for simplicity. But deep down, he understood the truth. Nothing about their situation was straightforward. And a reckoning loomed on the horizon. Chapter 5. The Storm Gathers. Alex's crisis of faith reached a fever pitch one Tuesday morning when Portia asked him to pray with her before they visited the children's hospital. "Dear Jesus," she began, her hand warm in his, "thank you for bringing Alex into my life. Thank you for a man who loves you and wants to serve others. Help us to be a blessing to the children today, and show us how to honor you in our relationship. Amen." "Amen," he murmured, but the word felt like ashes on his tongue. That afternoon, while Portia read to a group of sick children, Alex received an encrypted message from Agent Chen. "Evidence almost complete. Prepare for extraction within 2 weeks. Great work, Morgan." The chilling realization hit him like a tidal wave. 2 weeks. 2 weeks until he would vanish from Portia's life forever, leaving behind a shattered trust and revealing the truth about her father that would plunge her world into chaos. "Alex?" Portia's voice broke through his spiraling thoughts, concern etched on her face. "Are you okay? You look pale." "Just tired," he lied, loathing himself for the deception. "You've been working too hard," she said, her hand resting gently on his arm. "When was the last time you took a day off?" "Portia, about us," he began, but she interrupted. "Actually, I wanted to talk to you about that too." Her eyes sparkled with anticipation. "I've been praying about our relationship, asking God for clarity, and I feel like he's telling me to be patient but hopeful." "I know you have secrets, Alex. I can see it sometimes. The way you look at me like you're memorizing my face. The way you get distant when I talk about the future." Alex's heart cracked at her words. "Portia, but I also know you love me," she continued. "And I love you. So whatever it is you can't tell me yet, I'm willing to wait. When you're ready, when God makes it clear that it's time, you'll tell me. Until then, I'm just going to trust that he brought us together for a reason." That night, sleep evaded him as he paced his apartment, grappling with God like a man in desperate struggle. "I can't do this anymore, Lord," he pleaded. "She trusts me completely, and I'm living a lie. She's praying for our future while I'm planning to disappear. How can I claim to love her while deceiving her? How can I say I'm following you while breaking her heart?" For the first time in months, Alex felt God's presence envelop him, not in spoken words, but in a gentle conviction settled over his spirit. "Trust me with the truth. Trust me with her heart. Trust me with the consequences." With a heavy heart, Alex recognized his path. It might cost him everything, his mission, his career, possibly even his life. But he could no longer live a lie alongside the woman he loved. Tomorrow, he would come clean to Portia. But in the end, God had other plans. In the dim light of late afternoon, Portia hurried through the bustling streets, her heart racing with excitement. She had planned a surprise dinner for Alex, her love, the man who had become the center of her world. The spare key he'd given her felt like a talisman in her pocket, a symbol of their bond. As she entered his apartment, the scent of his cologne lingered in the air, mixing with the warm aroma of the meal she had prepared. But her joy was short-lived. As Portia set the table, a buzz from the kitchen counter drew her attention. It was Alex's FBI phone, glowing ominously with a message that sent chills through her. Agent Chen's name flashed across the screen, accompanied by a cryptic part of the message. "Morgan, Chavez surveillance successful. Ready for final phase." The color drained from Portia's face as confusion morphed into a horrifying realization. Surveillance. Chavez. Her father's name, entwined with federal investigations. The echoes of laughter they had shared, the whispered secrets, all of it began to twist into an insidious knot of betrayal. Trembling, she entered the passcode, the digit she had memorized, her birthday, the one Alex had said was the most important date he wanted to remember. Messages unfurled like a dark tapestry, weaving a tale of duplicity. Alex Morgan, her beloved, was an undercover agent sent to investigate her father. The weight of that truth crashed down upon her, heavy and suffocating. Just then the bathroom door creaked open, and Alex stepped out, droplets of water glistening on his skin, a towel slung low around his waist. He froze at the sight of her, the phone a damning witness on the table between them. Portia's tears fell unchecked, each drop a testament to the trust that had been shattered. "How long?" she asked, her voice thin and fragile, yet laced with a bitter strength. Alex's heart plummeted. "Portia, I can explain. How long have you been lying to me?" Her voice was steady, but he could hear the cracks beneath the surface. It was the calm before the storm, and he could feel the tempest approaching. 5 months, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "But please understand." 5 months, she echoed, her eyes blazing with betrayal. 5 months of lies, of pretending to care for me, my work, my faith. I wasn't pretending. Alex stepped closer, desperation flooding his veins. "What I feel for you is real. Yes, I was assigned to investigate your father, but what happened between us—" "Stop!" Portia's voice was sharp, slicing through the air. "Do you have any idea what you've done? Portia, your father is dangerous. He has hurt people, killed people. My father loves me," she shouted, the pain in her voice stark and raw. Portia's eyes softened with a sudden realization of her own outburst. "Whatever else he's done, he loves me. And you use that love to get close to him. You've betrayed my family." The tears burned in Alex's eyes as he struggled to articulate the chaos in his heart. I never wanted to hurt you. I fought against my feelings, tried to stay professional, but I fell in love with you. That was never part of the plan. Love? Portia laughed bitterly, the sound echoing like broken glass. You don't know what love means. Love is honest, Alex. It doesn't lie every single day for 5 months. The weight of her words struck him like a physical blow. You're right, he whispered, regret lacing his voice. I should have told you sooner. I was going to tell you tomorrow. I couldn't live with the lies anymore. Tomorrow? Portia shook her head, disbelief etched into her features. It's too late for tomorrow. I trusted you, prayed with you, introduced you to my friends, planned a future with you, and all of it was built on lies. As she turned to leave, she paused, her voice trembling. If I can't trust you, if I can't trust my own father, who can I trust? How do I know what's real anymore? Trust God, Alex urged, his voice cracking with desperation. Please, don't let this destroy your faith. God is still good, still faithful. Don't you dare, she shot back, fury igniting in her eyes. Don't talk to me about God's faithfulness when you've made a mockery of everything I believe in. And just like that, she was gone, leaving Alex alone amidst the ruins of a love that had become vital to his very existence. The next morning, as the sun rose, Alex arrived at Chavez Industries with a sinking feeling in his chest. He was met by security, his access revoked. Maximilian Chavez stood in the lobby, fury radiating from him like heat from fire. You have 10 seconds to get out of my building before I have you thrown out, Chavez said, his voice cold as ice. Mr. Chavez, I need to explain. You need to disappear, Chavez interrupted, venom dripping from his words. You earned my trust and made my daughter fall in love with you, while building a case against me. There's no justification for that betrayal. Portia stood by the elevators. Her face was pale but composed. Their eyes met, and the agony he saw in her gaze pierced him like a dagger. Portia, he called. But she turned away, refusing to acknowledge his presence. You're done here, Agent Morgan, Chavez warned. If you contact my daughter again or interfere in her life, I'll make sure you disappear permanently. Are we clear? Alex nodded, each confirmation a nail in the coffin of their love. As he walked away, he saw Portia collapse into her father's arms, sobbing, and his heart shattered into countless pieces. Later that night, as Portia sat in her father's study, she sought the truth that was slipping through her fingers. Papa, is it true? What Alex was investigating? Are any of those accusations true? A heavy silence filled the room before Maximilian spoke, his words deliberate. Mija, there are things about my business you're better off not knowing. That's not an answer, she cried, desperation creeping into her voice. It's the only answer I can give you right now, he said firmly, but the uncertainty gnawed at Portia's heart. So Alex was right? You are involved in illegal activities? Alex was a liar who used your kind heart to get close to our family. Don't let him make you doubt those who truly love you. But doubt had already taken root in her mind, spreading like a shadow. If her father lied, if Alex was a deceiver, how could she trust her own judgment about anything? That night, for the first time in her life, Portia knelt by her bed but couldn't pray. The words fell silent on her lips, drowned by the oppressive weight of lies. How could she speak to God about truth and trust when lies surrounded her? Instead, she remained kneeling in the darkness, tears flowing, mourning the loss of everything that had once anchored her faith. 3 days had passed since Alex Morgan received the call he had dreaded more than any other. As the sun dipped low in the sky, its warm rays struggled to pierce the heavy clouds that mirrored the turmoil swirling within him. Agent Chen's voice was grave, a dark omen that sent chills racing down Alex's spine. Morgan, we've got a problem. Someone leaked your identity to Chavez's enemies. There's a hit out on you, and word is they might target Portia to draw you out. The mere thought of Portia in danger twisted like a knife in his gut, and he felt his blood turn to ice. "What kind of security does she have?" he managed to ask, his voice strained. "Her father pulled all protection after you left. He's furious and not thinking clearly. Alex, you need to disappear. Go into witness protection. Start over somewhere else." The words echoed in his mind, a relentless drumbeat urging him to abandon everything he cared about. But Alex's heart was set. "I can't leave her unprotected," he said firmly, the weight of his resolve heavy in the air. "You can't protect her either. Chavez will kill you on sight, and your presence puts her in more danger." The urgency in Chen's voice reverberated through the line, yet Alex's mind was already racing with plans. Adrenaline surging as he gathered his weapons and surveillance equipment, determination igniting within him. "Not if he doesn't see me coming." As night enveloped the city, the shadows seemed to thicken around Alex as he perched across from Portia's apartment building, the cold metal of the surveillance equipment pressing against his hands. Each beep and click heightened his senses. At 11 p.m., he spotted them, 3 men with concealed weapons taking positions around the building, their intentions as clear as the moonlight illuminating their dark figures. In a moment of desperation, he called the one person who might listen, Maximilian Chavez. "You have 30 seconds before I hang up," Chavez answered, his voice cold and impatient. "There are 3 armed men outside Portia's building right now. They're here because someone leaked my identity to your enemies. They want to use her to get to me." The urgency in his voice was palpable, as if it could breach the distance between them. There was a tense silence before Chavez replied, "If this is some kind of trick, check your security cameras. Southwest corner. Black sedan. Northwest corner. Man in the gray jacket. Building entrance. Guy pretending to read a newspaper." The air was electric as Chavez finally acknowledged, "I see them." "I'm going in," Alex said, without hesitation. "I'll handle the 2 on the street, if you can get your people to secure the building." "Why would you risk yourself for her after what she said to you?" Chavez pressed, his tone skeptical. Tears blurred Alex's vision, the weight of love and sacrifice crashing over him in waves. "Because I love her, and because some things are more important than whether that love is returned." 20 minutes later, it was over. 2 men in custody, 1 bleeding in a hospital, and Portia safe within the guarded walls of her apartment. Relief washed over Alex like a cleansing rain, but the taste of victory was bittersweet. As he prepared to disappear, the sound of his phone ringing shattered the silence. "Alex?" Portia's voice trembled, small and uncertain. "Papa told me what you did. He said you saved my life even though we—" "I couldn't let anything happen to you," Alex replied softly, the weight of his love palpable in his words. "Whatever else is between us, I couldn't live with myself if you got hurt because of me." Portia's voice wavered as she whispered, "I don't understand you. I said terrible things to you. I told you I never wanted to see you again. Why would you still protect me?" Alex took a deep breath, his heart aching. "Because love isn't conditional, Portia. Real love doesn't stop just because it's not returned. It doesn't end just because circumstances change." A heavy silence lingered before Portia spoke again, her voice trembling with vulnerability. "Will you meet me tomorrow, at the church? I need to talk to someone I can trust. And despite everything, I still believe you're that person." Hope flickered in Alex's chest, fragile yet persistent. "Are you sure?" "No," she admitted, her honesty raw. "I'm not sure about anything anymore, but I'm tired of being angry and confused and hurt. I want to understand. I want to find a way forward, and I think I need God's help to do that." The next day, in the quiet sanctuary of St. Catherine's, where they had worshipped together for months, a gentle tension hung in the air. Pastor Rodriguez, kind and wise, sat between them, ready to mediate their conversation, understanding the spiritual dimensions of their crisis. "Before we begin," he said softly, his voice a soothing balm, "I want both of you to remember that this is holy ground. We're here to seek truth, understanding, and hopefully forgiveness. But most importantly, we're here to seek God's will for your lives." Portia sat across from Alex, her hands tightly knotted in her lap, a fragile figure in the soft light of the room. I've been angry, she began quietly, her voice quaking. Angry at you. Angry at my father. Angry at God for letting me be deceived. But mostly angry at myself for being so naive. You're not naive, Alex interjected immediately, his voice firm yet gentle. You're trusting. You're hopeful. You see the good in people. Those are beautiful qualities, Portia. Don't let what I did change that about you. Tears shimmered in her eyes. But how do I trust again? How do I know what's real? Pastor Rodriguez leaned forward, his gaze steady and compassionate. Portia, may I ask you something? In all your time with Alex, despite the lies about his identity, did you ever doubt his feelings for you? In your heart, did his love feel genuine? Portia's brow furrowed as she considered this. No, she admitted reluctantly, the truth dawning slowly. Even now, even knowing he was lying about who he was, I never doubted that he cared about me. The way he looked at me, the way he listened, the way he seemed to genuinely enjoy my work with the charities, that felt real. Alex seized the moment to reassure her. Because it was real, Portia. Yes, I lied about my job, my background, my reasons for being there. But I never lied about loving you. I never pretended to care about your work or your faith. Those feelings were completely genuine. But you still lied to me every day for 5 months, Portia emphasized, her hurt still fresh. Yes, Alex said simply, the weight of his admission heavy in the air. And I was wrong. I was caught between my duty as an agent and my love for you, and I handled it badly. I should have found a way to tell you sooner. I should have trusted you with the truth. Pastor Rodriguez intervened gently, sensing the rising tension. Alex, can you help Porter understand why you made the choices you did? Not to excuse them, but to provide context. With a deep breath, Alex shared, your father is involved in some very dangerous activities, Portia. Drug trafficking, money laundering, extortion. People have died because of his orders. The FBI has been trying to build a case against him for years, and my assignment was to get close enough to gather evidence. Portia flinched, recoiling as if struck. You're asking me to believe my father is a murderer. I'm asking you to consider the possibility that the man you know as a loving father might also be someone else in his business life. Alex replied carefully, understanding the gravity of his words. People are complicated, Portia. They can be capable of both great love and great evil. Tears streamed down Portia's cheeks as she whispered, but if that's true, then my whole life has been built on lies. The money that paid for my education, that funds my charities, that provides my lifestyle, if it comes from illegal activities, then I'm complicit. I'm profiting from other people's pain. No, Alex said firmly, his conviction unwavering. You're not responsible for where the money came from. You used it to feed hungry people, house homeless families, educate underprivileged children. God can use even tainted resources for good purposes. Pastor Rodriguez nodded in agreement. Portia, remember the story of Joseph in Egypt. God used Pharaoh's wealth and position to save lives during the famine. Sometimes God's people find themselves in compromised situations, not because they chose evil, but because God is working out a larger plan. Portia's voice trembled with desperation as she asked, what plan? What possible good can come from all this pain and deception? I don't know yet, the pastor admitted, a hint of sadness in his eyes. But I believe God brought you and Alex together for reasons beyond your understanding. Your love has already changed both of you. Alex is willing to sacrifice everything to protect you. You're questioning comfortable assumptions and seeking truth, even when it's painful. These are not accidents. Portia gazed at Alex, her heart conflicted. If we're going to have any chance of working through this, I need complete honesty from now on. No more secrets, no more lies, no matter how much you think they might protect me. Can you promise me that? Without a moment's hesitation, Alex nodded. Complete honesty, I promise. And I need time, Portia continued, her voice steady and resolute. Time to process all of this. Time to pray. Time to figure out what I believe about my father and about us. Can you give me that without pushing for answers?" "All the time you need," Alex assured her, his heart swelling with respect for her needs. Pastor Rodriguez smiled warmly, the atmosphere shifting toward hope. "This is good. This is honest communication, mutual respect, and a willingness to seek God's guidance together. That's a foundation you can build on." In that small church, under the watchful eyes of God, Alex and Portia began to navigate their tangled emotions, each step forward a testament to the resilience of love and the promise of healing. In the heart of a small town, where church bells chimed like echoes of hope and sunlight filtered through stained glass, Alex and Portia found themselves intertwined in a journey of healing. It had been a month since they began their weekly counseling sessions with Pastor Rodriguez, and each meeting was a step forward, albeit a painful one. The air in the church was often still, filled with the scent of old wood and the faint aroma of incense. But within its walls, their hearts were anything but quiet. Alex sat across from Portia, his heart heavy with the weight of his revelations. He had dedicated countless hours investigating her father's nefarious dealings, piecing together evidence that felt both liberating and burdensome. The warmth of the room contrasted sharply with the cold truths he laid bare for her. "I want you to understand, Portia," he said gently, his voice steady yet filled with an undercurrent of vulnerability. "Your father's actions, they're terrible, but you deserve to know the truth." Portia, eyes shimmering with unshed tears, listened intently. She was grappling with the intricate tapestry of her father's life, a life she had idolized without knowing its darker threads. "What if I don't want to believe it?" she whispered, feeling the ground beneath her shift. Over those weeks, their relationship morphed, evolving from a tangled web of trust and betrayal into something reminiscent of hope. Portia began her own investigation into her father's business, the pursuit becoming both a sword and a shield. Each discovery was a blow to her heart: bank records that didn't align, associates whose pasts were painted in shadows. Every revelation was a grain of sand in the hourglass of her innocence. In one particularly raw session, she confronted her father. "I asked him about the drug trafficking, the money laundering, all of it," she shared, her voice breaking. The confession hung thick in the air, heavy with the sorrow of a daughter grappling with the truth about her protector. "What did he say?" Alex asked, his heart aching for her. "He didn't deny it." Portia's voice trembled, tears cascading down her cheeks. "He said he did what he had to do to provide for me. He kept me from that side of his life so I could stay pure, to be the good he couldn't be." In that moment, Alex reached for her hand, and for the first time in weeks, she didn't pull away. The warmth of his grip sent a shiver of connection through them, bridging the chasm that had formed amidst their turmoil. "He loves you, Portia," Alex said softly. "No matter the darkness, that part is real." Portia's heart was a battleground, torn between love and resentment. "But how can I reconcile that? How can I love someone who has caused so much pain?" Her voice was a desperate plea, echoing in the sacred space of the church. Pastor Rodriguez leaned forward, his wise eyes glimmering with compassion. "Forgiveness is a journey, Portia. It is a choice to release the pain, to stop letting someone else's choices poison your heart." That evening, as they walked outside under a sky peppered with stars, the autumn air was crisp and laden with the scent of fallen leaves. It reminded them both of the night of their first kiss, a moment suspended in time, now overshadowed by uncertainty. "Do you think there's a chance for us?" Alex asked quietly, his voice a mere whisper against the night. Portia turned to him, her eyes reflecting both pain and a flicker of hope. "I love you, Alex, but love isn't enough without trust. We need to rebuild that foundation." Alex's heart swelled with a cautious optimism. "I'll wait. I'll prove myself to you every day for the rest of my life, if that's what it takes." "Ask me again in 6 months," Portia replied, a smile breaking through her storm clouds, illuminating her face like the sunrise after a long night. Yet, just as they began to find their footing, a tempest loomed on the horizon. 3 months into their fragile rebuilding, the FBI moved to arrest Maximilian Chavez, Portia's father. But a shadowy tip-off led to his vanishing, leaving behind only a heart-wrenching note that shattered Portia's world anew. Mija, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. I won't put you through the shame of watching your father go to prison. I love you more than life itself. Don't let my sins define your future. Portia, cradling the letter in her hands, felt as if the ground had fallen away. He's gone, she cried, Alex at her side, his arms encircling her as she mourned the father she loved and the truths she had uncovered. But their trials were far from over. The very next day, Alex learned of a deadly threat against them, $1 million bounty on their heads, orchestrated by former associates of Chavez. The urgency of the situation was palpable, the air thick with tension and fear. We need to go, now, he urged Portia, as the screech of tires and shouts echoed from outside. Their escape was a blur of adrenaline and terror, the gunshots ringing in their ears as they fled into the night, hearts racing. Prayers whispered on trembling lips. At the safe house, surrounded by the protection of the FBI, Portia felt her world closing in. I can't live in fear, Alex. Those people need me, she wept, the weight of her father's legacy pressing down on her. You are not defined by his choices. You are defined by your own, Alex reassured, his voice steady amid her despair. We'll fight this together, with faith that God is bigger than our enemies. In the flickering light of the fireplace, Portia let her walls crumble. I can't do this. What if they find us? What if? Alex's grip tightened. Nothing is going to happen to you. I won't let it. Their shared vulnerability turned into an unbreakable bond, and in that moment, amidst the chaos, Portia found solace in Alex's unwavering faith. I love you, Alex, she whispered, the words spilling forth like the hope she had long feared to express. With their hearts laid bare, they chose to confront the future together, trusting in the grace that had brought them this far. They kissed, a promise sealed in the fire of their trials, tasting of tears and hope. And in that moment, under the weight of uncertainty, they discovered a resilience that would carry them through the storm. In the early golden light of dawn, the air was heavy with anticipation and the scent of possibility. Agent Chen's voice cut through the stillness of the small cabin where Portia and Alex had been hiding, her words brisk with urgency. We got a break, she announced, her fervor barely contained. Elena Vasquez reached out through intermediaries. She wants to make a deal. Portia sat up, her heart racing. The shadows of the previous night melted away as the reality of Chen's announcement began to settle in. What kind of deal? Alex asked, his brows furrowing in suspicion, the protective instinct surging through him. She's willing to call off the hits and testify against Torres and Romano in exchange for immunity and witness protection, Chen explained. Apparently, she's been looking for a way out of the organization for months. Why the sudden change of heart? Portia's voice trembled slightly, reflecting both hope and skepticism. Chen smiled, a glimmer of hope evident in her eyes. She said she's been watching surveillance footage of you, Portia. She saw how you've used your father's money, the charity work, the community service, the way you've helped people. She has a daughter about your age who's been estranged from her for years because of her criminal lifestyle. Seeing you made her realize what she's lost. Portia's breath hitched, chills running down her spine. God used my charity work to change her heart, she whispered, a blend of disbelief and awe washing over her. It looks that way, Chen continued, the weight of the situation settling over them like a heavy fog. She specifically mentioned the children's hospital visits and the women's shelter, said she never realized Chavez had a daughter who was trying to make amends for her father's crimes. Alex shook his head in astonishment. All those times you insisted on continuing your charity work, despite the danger. God was using it in ways we couldn't see. With each word, Portia felt a surge of conviction. I want to do it, she declared suddenly, her voice steady and resolute. Portia, Alex started, his concern evident. Alex, don't you see? She interrupted, her eyes alight with a fervor he had never seen before. This is exactly what we've been praying for. God is using everything. My father's crimes, my charity work, even the danger we're in, to bring about justice and redemption. How can I turn away from that? As evening fell, shadows danced in the corners of their cabin, while Portia knelt by the window, the hush of the world surrounding her. Lord, she prayed, her voice trembling, I don't understand all of this, but I trust you. If you can use my father's criminal empire to teach me about forgiveness, if you can use Alex's deception to teach us both about real love, if you can use a hit contract to reach Elena Vasquez's heart, then I trust you to use tomorrow's meeting for your glory. Alex knelt beside her, the weight of their situation pressing on his heart. God, protect Portia tomorrow. Give her wisdom, courage, and your words to speak. Help Elena Vasquez find the redemption she's looking for. And please, bring justice out of all this chaos. With a soft nod, Portia added, and Lord, help me to see Elena not as an enemy, but as one of your daughters who's lost her way. Give me compassion for her pain and hope for her future. The following morning, they drove to the federal facility, silence enveloping them like a shroud, as they both lost themselves in contemplative prayer. The meeting room was sterile, a stark contrast to the emotions swirling within them, with agents positioned throughout the building, a fortress of security surrounding them. When Elena Vasquez entered, Portia's heart raced. She had expected a monster. Instead, she saw a woman in her 50s with tired eyes and worn hands, looking more like someone's grandmother than a drug lord. Miss Chavez, Elena began, her voice a whisper of gratitude. I want to thank you for agreeing to meet with me. Please, call me Portia. And thank you for reaching out. Agent Chen says you want to end this conflict. Portia's voice was gentle, coaxing, yet firm. Elena nodded, a weight of years pressing on her. I've spent 20 years in this business, telling myself I was providing for my family, building security for my daughter. But my daughter won't speak to me. She's ashamed of what I've become, and she's right to be. Portia's heart ached for the woman before her. What changed your mind? She asked softly. Watching you, Elena admitted, her voice breaking. We had you under surveillance for weeks, planning the best way to hurt you. But instead of seeing a spoiled princess living off blood money, I saw a young woman trying to heal the wounds her father had caused. I saw someone choosing to use tainted wealth for pure purposes. Tears welled in Elena's eyes as she continued. You could have lived in luxury and ignorance. Instead, you chose service. You chose to face hard truths about your father and still find ways to honor the love between you. Watching you made me realize what I'd sacrificed for money and power. Elena, Portia urged, it's not too late to rebuild your relationship with your daughter. God specializes in restoration, in making new things out of broken pieces. Do you really believe that? Elena asked, her eyes searching Portia's for hope. Even for someone like me, someone who's done terrible things? I believe God's grace is bigger than our mistakes, Portia replied, her voice steady and filled with conviction. I've seen it in my own life, in Alex's life. We've all done things we're ashamed of, made choices we regret. But God offers forgiveness and new beginnings to anyone who's willing to accept them. Elena fell silent, contemplation washing over her like a wave. I want to testify against Torres and Romano. I want to shut down their operations and accept whatever consequences come to me. And I want to try to make things right with my daughter. What about the contracts on our lives? Alex interjected, still wary. Cancelled, Elena stated firmly. I've already sent word to the assassins. You're both safe from my organization. As for Torres and Romano, she slid a thick folder across the table, the weight of their collective burdens inching toward resolution. Everything you need to bring them down is in there. Financial records, communication logs, details about their operations in 6 different states. In that moment, within the sterile walls of a federal facility, hope ignited. Portia and Alex exchanged glances, a silent understanding passing between them. They had stepped into a storm, yet somehow, together, they had begun to glimpse the dawn. In the dim light of the federal facility, Agent Chen flipped through the stack of documents, her heart racing as the implications dawned on her. The air was thick with tension, and the fluorescent lights flickered overhead. casting an eerie glow on the papers that could change everything. "Elena, this is enough to dismantle their entire network," she breathed, her voice barely above a whisper. Elena Vasquez, with her fiery spirit and haunted past, stood resolute before her. "It's my gift to you," she said to Portia, a hint of a smile breaking through the shadows of her regrets. A small step toward redemption. 3 hours later, the dust had settled. Elena had agreed to cooperate fully with the FBI, and the weight of her choice hung heavy in the air. Torres and Romano would soon be apprehended, their threat to Alex and Portia extinguished like the last flicker of a candle. Portia sat in the passenger seat of Alex's car, her mind buzzing with thoughts, her heart a chaotic whirlpool of emotions as they drove away. The fading light of day painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, but Portia's thoughts were far from the beauty outside. "Penny for your thoughts?" Alex asked gently, glancing at her with concern etched across his brow. A sigh escaped her lips as she replied, "I keep thinking about what Elena said, that watching my charity work changed her perspective. All those times I felt like I was just putting Band-Aids on problems too big to solve, God was using it to reach someone I'd never met." Alex nodded, his grip tightening around the steering wheel. "Kind of puts things in perspective, doesn't it?" "It makes me wonder what else God is doing that we can't see," Portia mused, the flicker of hope igniting within her. "How many other lives are being touched by acts of service we think are insignificant?" In that moment, Alex reached over and took her hand, warmth radiating from his touch. "Maybe that's the point. We're not supposed to see the full picture. We're just supposed to be faithful with what's in front of us and trust God with the results." A moment of silence enveloped them, pregnant with unsaid words. Portia's heart raced as she turned to face him. "Alex, I want to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest." "Always," he promised. His eyes locked onto hers with unwavering sincerity. "Do you think you could be happy in a life that's focused on charity work and service? After all the excitement and danger of undercover work, would ministering to homeless people and sick children be enough for you?" Alex pulled the car over to the side of the road, the rumble of passing trucks fading into the background as he turned to her fully. "Portia, these past few months, watching you work with those families, seeing the light in your eyes when you help people, it's shown me what I want to spend the rest of my life doing." A glimmer of disbelief danced in Portia's eyes. "Really? Really? I've requested a transfer to the FBI's Community Outreach Division. I want to work on programs that prevent kids from getting involved in crime in the first place. I want to use my experience to help at-risk youth. To be part of the solution instead of just chasing the symptoms." Tears of joy brimmed in Portia's eyes, threatening to spill over. "You'd give up undercover work for that?" "I'd give up undercover work for you," he said simply, his voice steady and resolute. "But as it turns out, I think God is calling both of us to the same kind of ministry. We can serve Him together, Portia. We can build a life around helping others and trusting Him with the results." A thrill shot through her. "Is that a proposal?" she asked, her heart racing. With a smile, Alex reached into his jacket pocket and produced a small velvet box. "Actually, this is a proposal." He climbed out of the car, circling around to her side, and then, in a move that sent her heart soaring, he dropped to one knee on the side of the highway. Autumn leaves swirled around them, dancing to the rhythm of their hearts. "Portia Chavez," he declared, his voice unwavering, "you've taught me about grace, forgiveness, and love that's bigger than circumstances. You've shown me what it means to serve God with your whole heart. Will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life loving you and serving others alongside you?" Without hesitation, Portia laughed through her tears, her heart a symphony of joy. "Yes, yes, yes, 1,000 times yes." The ring was perfect, a simple solitaire that sparkled like the promise of a bright future. As Alex slipped it onto her finger, Portia felt the last pieces of her fractured world slotting into place. "I love you, Alex Morgan," she whispered, her heart swelling with gratitude as he rose and pulled her into his embrace. "I love you too, future Mrs. Morgan," he replied, spinning her around as the sounds of celebration erupted from the passing cars. Epilogue: New Beginnings. A year later, Portia and Alex stood hand in hand in the same church where they had faced their greatest trials together. The air was filled with a palpable sense of joy. Pastor Rodriguez's warm smile, a reflection of the love that had blossomed between them. "Dearly beloved," he began, his voice rich with emotion, "we are gathered here today to witness the marriage of Alexander Morgan and Portia Chavez, two people who have learned that God's love is bigger than our mistakes, His grace more powerful than our failures, and His plans more beautiful than our understanding." The congregation was a tapestry of lives intertwined in redemption. FBI agents mingled with charity workers. Former criminals who had been touched by Elena's testimony sat beside families uplifted by Portia's programs. Even Elena, on temporary release, beamed with pride as she sat next to her daughter, a sign of reconciliation amidst the chaos of their shared past. Alex, donned in his dress uniform, looked every inch the hero Portia believed him to be. She wore her grandmother's wedding dress, the fabric whispering stories of love and resilience as she carried wildflowers, a symbol of new beginnings. "Alex," Portia vowed, her voice steady and filled with conviction, "you taught me that love isn't about perfection. It's about choosing each other even when we're broken. You showed me that God can use even deception and danger to bring about His perfect will. I promise to love you through whatever trials come, to trust you with my heart, and to serve God alongside you for all the days of our lives." "Portia," Alex responded, emotion thick in his throat, "you saved me from a life of shadows and secrets. You showed me that real strength comes from service, real purpose comes from love, and real faith comes from trusting God, even when we can't see the way forward. I promise to cherish you, protect you, and follow Christ with you until my last breath." Pastor Rodriguez's voice resonated with joy as he pronounced them husband and wife. "Alex, you may kiss your bride." As their lips met, the sanctuary erupted in cheers, tears, and applause, a testament to a love forged in the fires of adversity. 6 months later, Alex and Portia opened the Second Chances Community Center, a beacon of hope in the heart of the city. It was a space for former criminals seeking job training, at-risk youth needing mentorship, and struggling families desperate for support. Funds came from the estate of Maximilian Chavez, finally redirected toward the redemptive purposes he had always envisioned for his daughter. Elena, now serving a reduced sentence, sent letters of encouragement and financial support from her prison job earnings. Each month, her daughter visited, slowly rebuilding the relationship that crime had shattered. In quiet moments, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Portia and Alex found solace in each other's arms, reflecting on their incredible journey. "You know what I've learned?" Portia said one evening, her hand resting on her slightly rounded belly, their first child growing within. "What's that?" Alex inquired, his arms enveloping her with warmth. "God doesn't waste anything. Not my father's crimes, not your deception, not our pain, not even our mistakes. He uses it all to create something beautiful, something that brings glory to His name and hope to hurting people." "Even undercover FBI agents and crime bosses' daughters?" Alex teased, a smile playing on his lips. "Especially undercover FBI agents and crime bosses' daughters," Portia laughed, the sound ringing with joy. "We're proof that God can write the most incredible love stories out of the most impossible circumstances." As they watched the sun set over the city they now served together, both Alex and Portia felt a profound peace, knowing they were exactly where God wanted them, trusting in His goodness amidst life's imperfections. Their love story had begun in shadows, but had blossomed into a testimony of light, a living proof that no situation is too complicated for God's grace, no heart too broken for His healing, and no love too damaged for His restoration. And in the community center they had built, in the lives they touched daily, in the family they were creating, they continued to live out the truth that real faith isn't the absence of trials, but trust in God's goodness in their midst. As Pastor Rodriguez had proclaimed on their wedding day, some love stories are simple and sweet, others are complicated and costly, but the ones forged in the fire of real trials, those are the ones that shine brightest and last longest. Alex and Portia Morgan had learned this truth the hard way, and they wouldn't trade a single moment of their complicated, costly, beautiful journey for anything simpler or easier. Because they knew their love story was more than just their own, it was a testament to the power of prayer, the reality of redemption, and the incredible love of a God who never gives up on his children. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Romans 8:28. The end. This story is dedicated to everyone who has ever felt trapped by circumstances beyond their control, who has struggled with secrets and deception, or who has wondered if God can really work good out of complicated situations. Your story matters, your struggles have purpose, and your God is bigger than any problem you face. Thank you for listening to Shadows of Truth, a faith-based FBI romance. Like and subscribe for more Christian love stories.